All right, mothers and community, welcome. As I stated earlier, we're going to talk about sharpening chainsaws. If you notice, we have two brands of chainsaw. We have the Steel and the Husqvarna. Both are very good top of the line chainsaws. The Husqvarna, I purchased this one, and it is an industrial chainsaw. This Steel, I actually got it from a Steel dealer, and it should be an industrial chainsaw. I do believe it is. We've had it for about 4 years. When we first got it, used it a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's an 18-inch, the MS250. It did a very good job for what we started. All right, we're going to go through sharpening the steel using it's called the Easy Do. This thing, it does get the job done, and it does it, pretty fast. Just take your time and make sure you follow the angle. Correction on the size I mentioned earlier, it's not 5/16, it's 3/16 for this particular chainsaw, the MS250. It uses the 3/16 angle. And so that's what you want to make sure that you use. I'm just going to show you right quick. We're going to do some sharpening, but I just want to show you something. Whenever you get a chainsaw, it comes with this tool. This is used for taking off the nuts to hold your brackets on, where you can get to your bar and your chain. And this is also for tightening up your chain with the correct tension, of course. Now we're expecting some storms today. So hopefully we can get this in before they get here. So you just loosen these bolts up, take this brace off, and right here you have access to, you can take your bar off, take your chain off if need, when you're replacing your chain. If you need to change your bar out, this is how you do it. But we don't need to do any of that because all that has been done. If you notice this little notch right here, that's where you put your tension. You always want to have the correct tension on your chain. You want it to be able to pull down and spring back up. That would be good. You don't want it too loose or too tight. Want it just right. Want everything just right. That goes, want the steak just right. We want the salmon cooked just right. It all has to be just right. We strive for perfection. If we come up a little short, then that's okay too. All we can do is try. So when you're tightening it back up, get your nuts on here, get them back in place. When you start tightening, always go from one side to the other. Get one snug, get them both kind of even. Always try to hold your bar up a little especially when you start torquing. Doesn't have to be too tight, but you want it just right. Just right. All right. That should be good. So we're going to bring you guys in a little. All right, as I stated, the angles are important, and I've pretty much got this one down. But what you want to do when sharpening, the first tooth you do, you want to mark it so that when you come back around, of course, you'll be able to tell it, but I'll just always put a mark there so that when it comes back around, I will notice it right away. All right, so we're only going to go through just a few of these. And what you want to do, make sure you stay at that angle. You want to get under that tooth. Make sure that that sharpener is getting under that tooth. just give it a little back and forth action. Make sure you stay with that angle. Make sure it goes under it. Stay under it. It's almost like coming from underneath it, working your way up to the top of the tooth where it actually does the cutting. Just make sure you stick with that angle and get underneath that tooth. Hopefully you can see how shiny that is. Yeah, it's getting it right up under it. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all. And sometimes it's better to have it, the bar locked down, but with this tool, it doesn't have much movement in it. And sometimes I will hold it down with my hand because it all depends. Now, let me say this. When using your chainsaw, never use your chainsaw when you're tired, any type of fatigue, your arms get weak, you don't feel like it, or you're rested up. Make sure you have on the proper safety equipment when you use it. Helmet, goggles. A lot of people use earplugs, some don't. And the chaps. Those are the cut-resistant pants. It's best to have all that when cutting down a tree. And anytime you cut down a tree, make sure that you have an escape route, a clear escape route. That's important. Safety first, because these things are extremely dangerous, extremely dangerous. I'm not an expert, but I do try my best to make sure safety first. Amen? Amen. All right, let's get back to it. That one done, that one done. Let's get this one. So as you can see, I'm just staying with the angle. Some of these teeth, they really do need a little bit more work. And some of this probably because another mistake that I made, and it'll happen sometime. You have a tree down, you're cutting a log, and sometimes that log is laying right on the ground. The best thing to do, if you can get it up, if you can, to where you can have pieces of it angled out, where you can just slice them off. But sometimes you have to go through it, and sometimes it's going to hit the ground. There's a way to prevent that. Cut partial way through the tree, and if you can roll it or break it off with that partial cut, that's better. But try your best to keep it from hitting the ground. Okay? All right. That one looks good. Let's get this one. Get up under that tooth. This one needs a little work on it. Oh, wow. Really doesn't have much of an angle on this one. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. That's much better. Much better. Much better. Oh, that one has a very good angle on it. So, that's pretty much it. We're going to go through all of these. I'm not going to bore you with that. Get each one of them, flip it over, get the other side of the tooth. They're in opposite directions, as you can see. And we'll be done, and then I'll just put them up for now. It's kind of windy out here. I wouldn't even attempt to cut down any tree with this breeze blowing. But one day, one day, one day. That's all for today. Everyone have a blessed day. Thanks.